Good morning, children. So today we are going to discuss about nutrition, food supplying system. So what is nutrition? Anybody know? So nutrition is a process to obtain the food material by the organism. Okay, so every organism need food material for it growth and development. So every organism needs a different kinds of food material for its health and growth purpose. So that's why the food is needed by all living organisms, especially for the growth and also repair for the organism. So some organisms are also maintain the body temperature with the help of food material only. So that's why the food is a very important for all living organism. So the obtaining of the food material is called as nutrition. Okay, so here the organisms are mainly divided into the two types. Already we studied in our ninth class syllabus. One is in a unicellular organism and second one is in a multicellular organism. So if you see that unicellular organism, the unicellular organism plant body is mainly made up of with the single cell. So the best example for the single cell organism that nothing but it is an amoeba. So there are multicellular organism. So the multicellular organism is made up of with the many number of the cells, and these cells are formed as in a tissues and organs, and each and every organ present in that multicellular organism have a specific function. So for the formation of the single cell and as well as in the many cells, so the organisms need a large variety of the substances. Okay, that's why so whatever the single cellular organism or multicellular organisms, so they take a different kinds of food material. That food contain a large variety of the substances. So for example, so if we take in a food material every day, so we take in a food material every day. So in the morning we take the breakfast, afternoon we take the lunch, and night we take the meal. So every time, so we do not take as same substances, so a large variety of the substances. For example, morning we eat tiffin, so that made with that idli or dosa or whatever it may be, so mainly contain carbohydrates. So in the afternoon, rice with different curries like vegetables and dals and etc. So these all food substances, so that are mainly contain carbohydrates and proteins and fats. So along with these main bio macromolecules like carbohydrates and proteins and fats, so the food is also contain minerals and vitamins and etc. So here every organism that need a food, that food contain a variety of the substances, so such as carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals and etc. Okay, so here similarly, the unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms, so they are also acquiring the food varies from the cell to cell and organism to the organism. So for example, in the unicellular organisms, amoeba is there, paramecium is there, bacteria is there. So in the multicellular organisms, human beings, plants and etc. So every organism need a food material, so that acquiring mode of that food material, so that varies from the cell to cell and organisms to the organism. Okay, so just you see that. So now let us study about the autotrophic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So actually the nutrition is mainly divided into the two types. One is an autotrophic and second one is an heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So first we discuss about the autotrophic mode of nutrition. So actually the autotrophic mode of nutrition, that word auto means self and trophic means food. Okay, so here the organisms are prepared the food material itself, so is known as autotrophic organisms or autotrophic nutrition. Okay, so which means auto means self, trophic means food. Okay, so self, they prepare the food. Okay, so those organisms are called as autotrophic organism and the mode of nutrition is called autotrophic mode of nutrition. So the best example for that autotrophic nutrition is plants. So because of the plants are mainly involved in the process photosynthesis. So just you watch this video, so the video that shows the plant. Okay, so if you see the plant, so every plant, so most of the plants are involved in the process of photosynthesis. Okay, photo means light Synthesize means formation of the substances. So in the presence of light, the plants are able to form different kinds of substances. That's why the process is called as photosynthesis. Okay, so in this photosynthesis, so the plants are get the raw material from the nature. The plants are obtain the raw material from the nature. So what are the raw material for the process of photosynthesis? So mainly the plants that contain different parts, so especially the vegetative parts and reproductive parts. So in the vegetative parts, they have leaf and stem and as well as root system. Okay, so here these are, just you watch. Okay, so these are the three raw material for the process of photosynthesis. Sometimes one more question may be asked like this. So what are the raw material for the process of photosynthesis? The answer is water, sunlight or light, or carbon dioxide. Okay, so these three are obtained from the various sources to the plants. So for example, water. So what is the water source to the plant? So water is absorbed by the roots from soil particles. Okay, from the soil. So that's why the source is soil. So the water is obtained from soil. And second one is in a light. So the light source is in a sunlight. And third one is in a carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide source is in a air. Okay, so the air which is present in the atmosphere. So here these are the three raw materials that are involved in the process of photosynthesis. So here the sunlight, mainly the light energy is present. So that light energy is converted as a chemical energy that is known as photosynthesis. So just you see here the roots are absorbing the water. So that water sent to the stem and as well as leaves. Okay, so with the help of xylem, already we discussed in the 9th class. Okay, after getting the water, so the plant's leaf system, okay, they mainly contain, okay, a pore like structures which are called as stomata. Okay, these stomatas are helpful for the absorption of carbon dioxide from the nature, and second one which is also involved in the transpiration. Okay, so these stomata absorb the carbon dioxide in the presence of chlorophyll. In the presence of chlorophyll, actually the leaf contains mesophyll tissue. In this mesophyll tissue, the chloroplasts are present. In the chloroplast, the chlorophylls pigments are present. So in the presence of chlorophyll, so these plants are absorb the water and as well as carbon dioxide. In the presence of sunlight, so they prepare the food material. So which is called as photosynthesis. So by the using of water and carbon dioxide, the chlorophylls in the presence of sunlight, so they converted the simple substances into the complex substances like carbohydrate. Along with these carbohydrates, they are also release oxygen. Okay, so this oxygen is also released. So whatever the carbohydrate which are formed in the plants, that are supplied to the each and every part with the help of phloem. Okay, as well as the oxygen is also released from the plant, so which is called as photosynthesis. So the photosynthesis is nothing but the conversion of simple inorganic substances into the complex substances is called as photosynthesis. So here the inorganic simple substances are mainly water and carbon dioxide. So in the presence of sunlight, so the chlorophyll molecules trap the light energy, and this light energy is converted into the chemical energy. So that chemical energy is helpful for the formation of carbohydrates. Along with the carbohydrates, they are also released the oxygen molecules. So in the process of photosynthesis, so the plants are prepared the carbohydrates. So these carbohydrates are formed by the plants, and that carbohydrates are giving food material to the all rest of the organism present in the nature. That's why the plants are called as universal food providers. So just you see this pic. Okay, so simply you understand the process of photosynthesis. So here the sunlight, so which is grasped by the leaf, that especially the chloroplast that contain the chlorophyll. So this chlorophyll trap the sunlight. Okay, so as usually, so they are also take the carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil. Okay, so in the presence of chlorophyll, so this carbon dioxide, so is converted into the sugars. So as well as the oxygen molecules are also released in the process. Okay, so this is called as photosynthesis. So now coming to the next one, what it is called, heterotrophic nutrition. So I already told you the auto means self and trophic means food. Okay, so organism, they prepare the food material itself, that's why they are called autotrophs. Okay, so here heterotrophs means, hetero means different and troph means food. Here the organism that take the food material from the different sources. So that's why the nutrition is called as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, so here some of the organisms are capable to survive under different conditions and acquire their food in different ways. Okay, so already I told you, some are food material, some are prepared food material itself, that is called as autotroph, or some are getting the food material from other living organisms or other dead and decay particles, which are called as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So just you see the pic here, one is an amoeba and second one is in a paramecium and third one is in a bread mole. Okay, so these three that shows the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, now coming to the next slide. Okay, so actually in the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, that mainly divided into the two types. One is in a saprophytic nutrition and second one is in a parasitic nutrition. Okay, especially in the saprophytes, so the organism break down the food material at the outside of the body. After that digestion at the outside of the body, so they absorb the food material. So which organisms are called as saprophytes. So here just to see the examples, one is in a yeast cell and second one is in a mushrooms. So here the bread mole or yeast or mushrooms, so these are releasing some enzymes to external its body, but they released enzymes outside. So those enzymes are converted the complex molecules into the simple molecules. After the formation of the simple molecules, automatically they are absorbing the food material and they utilize the food material for its growth and development. So these organisms are called as saprophytes. Examples are bread mole, yeast and mushrooms. So this is an yeast cell, so which is also called as Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and which is in a mushroom. So coming to the second type, already we discussed in the first type, that is in a saprophytic nutrition, and second one is in a parasitic nutrition. Okay, so there is a small difference in between the saprophytic and parasitic. Saprophytic, which means so they grow on or they depend upon dead and decay particles. So coming to the parasitic nutrition, so these organisms derive the nutrition from living plants or living animals without killing them. So those organisms are called as parasitic organisms, or that shows the parasitic nutrition. So the examples are given here. One is in a Cuscuta and second one is in a lice and third one is in a leech and fourth one is in a tapeworm. So if you see that Cuscuta, so the Cuscuta, so it is in a non-chlorophyllous plant. So these plants are grown on other plant. So that take the food material from the other plant only, other living plant only. So lice, okay, so which is always parasitic on the human being, and this is also parasitic on animals. So these two animals are suck the blood from the human being and animals, and they take the food material from the host organisms. So as well as, so it is in a tapeworm, so Platyhelminthes, so which is mainly intestinal parasites of various animals. So they also take the food material from the host organism. So that's why these animals like so animals like lice, leech, tapeworm and plant Cuscuta, that take the food material from another plant or another animal without killing them. So this kind of nutrition is called as parasitic nutrition. Okay, so now in this class we discussed about only the autotrophic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition and the examples of autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. So in next class we go through how amoeba involved in the heterotrophic mode of nutrition and how the paramecium involves in the heterotrophic mode of nutrition and how Cuscuta reflexa, Cuscuta plant involves in the parasitic nutrition in plants, that we will discuss in the next class. Thank you.